atomic clock of the city of Pryor Creek says it's 17:30 local, so we're gonna start this meeting. That's 5:30 for you non-military folks, you know. Okay, we don't have any petitions from the audience. And item number 3 is discuss, possibly approve the minutes of the March 25th, 2025 meeting. And do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion by Councilor Smith and seconded by Councilor Brashears. Call for the vote.
Lamar,
Yes?
Smith,
Yes.
Brashears.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. There are people here to discuss a couple of things that we have, so I'd like to move around on the agenda so we can talk about those so our visitors don't have to stay here all night. So let's move first to item number 10, which is discuss and possibly recommend council action regarding the purchase of two-way radio communications equipment to be paid from the FEMA reimbursement account. Do we have a motion to discuss?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Smith and second by Brashears. So, who wants to go first?
It's me with all money, right?
Okay.
We'll tag team. Yeah, we'll tag team.
So, thank you guys for moving me up to the top. I appreciate that. I wish my board would do that for me as well, but they'll happen that way. No, so, what was it, buddy? About 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, or maybe 2 to 4 weeks ago, Johnny Jansen hit us up about Muskogee Communications. They were visiting with them about doing a 2-channel radio. Right now, we got a 1-channel radio that it's kind of hit and miss around town that we use in our trucks and whatnot, on top of this, you know, on top of your cell phones that you have. But the mayor had mentioned to Buddy a little bit about wanting to have some radios to, like for some of these events that we're having, some handheld radios that he can have. So when we were talking to Muskogee Communications, they had mentioned that a 1-channel radio is going to cost the same as a 2-channel radio. So that's when Buddy and Johnny said, hey, let's hit up Mub, see if they got a spot possibly to put it on one of our towers or whatnot, and maybe we have the electrical equipment, we have the we put the repeater on our tower, and Buddy's crew would buy the equipment stuff, we house it, and then everybody's on their own for paying for their radio upgrades and whatnot. Because we got some radios now that can use them in our newer trucks. We have the newer digital radios. Our older trucks, they don't have that newer digital radio, so we'd have to update those with new ones. I thought it was a great idea because once you put that repeater up there, you're probably going to be able to find, you can hit them up at Claremore, Catoosa, you can hear people talking now. I mean, when I'm in my truck and I have the radio and I'm going through up the hill in Catoosa, I kind of hear some reminiscences of it, but putting that repeater up there on our tower, so we looking at putting it on our tower out there at substation number 2, which is straight down 9th Street. We have a 140-foot tower that we purchased. Well, we didn't purchase. GRDA gave it to us. So, because we did fiber around town, and they didn't need that tower anymore. So, they was like, do you want this tower? I said, absolutely, because we're in the smart meter process installation, so we got a base station up there. That's all we got. And housing it at that substation number 2 allows us to have our controlled building, the climate control building that houses all the other stuff that we have out there at our substation. So it's perfect site, perfect fit. So we talked with Buddy, talked with the mayor, talked with Johnny. So we called Muskogee Communications. That's who does all our radios. That's who does the fire stations radios. That's who basically got the radio market. And we called them. We met them out there at that site. And now Buddy has the quotes, the quote from that visit, and it's good for 30 days. I don't know when it was done, to be honest with you. I said 2 to 4 weeks.
419.
419 or 4/4.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got, May 4th to look at it, but we're willing to put it up on our tower, willing to put it in our control house, do everything. Really, the only thing that's going to happen if something happens, we just go through, we'll put a battery back up on it. If we lose power, and you just check it. If it's not working, we'll go out there, reset it, it's good. Don't have to worry about it. And, so it'll be 2 channels. City would have a channel, we'd keep our channel. We have a channel now that we can just move over to that channel, and we got to update that by June or July because our 10-year agreement with the FCC is coming up and we got to renew our license. So it worked out, I think, for everybody. So we got the spot, we got the location. We'll get, everybody gets their own handhelds, whatever they got to do, their own trucks. We want it for the fact that if we have storms, you knock a cell tower out, we've got handhelds. If I got 10 cities in town and I need handhelds to be able to communicate, because your cell phones ain't always going to work. But God forbid we have a storm that bad.
Question.
Sure. Suit.
Are they 800 megahertz?
God, what does it say on your quote?
Which I would think they would be. If they're 800 megahertz, you can put how many channels you need in there. It won't cost you any more. You can dial them up.
It doesn't say.
I would assume they are, but I don't know that.
That repeater looks like that's a 57. Let me call Johnny Jansen real quick.
Because if it's an 800 megahertz system, just like GRDA's on, OHP's on, all about law enforcement, you can put whatever channel you want to put in there. You just twist it up and have it set in there. So you can talk to Pryor PD if you had to. You can talk to MUB if you had to, or the fire department or whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, we're sitting here at the street committee meeting, and Mr. Smith had a question. How many, is it 800 megahertz, this Muskogee Communications, the repeater? The channel, it's VHF. Hang on. Go ahead, I got you.
Yeah, a typical radio for 800 is going to cost you $2,000 to $3,000 a radio.
Where these radios are about 400 to 500.
Yeah, R7, compatible VHF.
And this is paid for with what kind of grant or FEMA?
Just FEMA that I have put back.
Well, one of them would be worth getting the 800, so you could communicate with everybody.
What do you think, Johnny?
Well, now,
Well, okay, so here's the thing with the 800s, and let me run through the whole thing. And by far, don't let me tell you that 800 is not the way to go, because the 800 radios are superior in every way than a VHF one is. But there's a few things. It's number one, it's difficult to get the 800 radio system is ran through the Oakwind system, which is the state of Oklahoma has a part that does it, and they control who can get a talk group and who cannot. Right now we've got about 3 fire departments that are trying to get a talk group, Shoto, Locust Grove, and Disney, and we've been trying to get them a talk group for months. And they're not wanting to let them have it, because what's happened is we've got so many different agencies that are got on the Oakwind system that they're starting to be overloaded. And so when you overload the system, what happens when anybody tries to key up, you get an instead of being able to communicate. So they have really cut back on who they're allowing to get on the system. I don't know if they would even allow a public utility to be on it. We'd have to do some digging to find out. And if so, if they would let them be on it, how long would it be before you guys could even be a part of it? How long would it take us to get there? That would be some of the issues that you would have. But I can find out whether or not that you could do that. You don't need a repeater if you get on the Oakwind system. But the radios, truck radios I think I just paid about $6,000 for one radio that goes in my vehicle. The handheld radios are $2,000 or $3,000 a piece. They're very good. There's no problems with them. You can communicate with everybody. They're fantastic, but they're really expensive, and they're really difficult to get them to let you have a talk group where you can talk on it.
Johnny, what range do the VHFs have with a repeater?
Well, so the VHS, if you put the repeater up, you'll be able to talk from Tulsa on it.
That may be the way to go.
On like a truck radio. The handheld radios, you would have a 5 to 10 mile radius around Pryor that you'll be able to talk on it. communicates on a repeater, just the same thing that we're talking about doing here. And I'm able to communicate all through the whole county pretty much on our repeater, and it's sitting over there, off of Coldstream Road, about 4 miles north of the Lake Hudson Highway 20 bridge. And I can talk on it from Pryor, with no problems. With it being right there, you know, on that tower that you guys have, it would, you wouldn't have any issues. You'd have really good communications.
Maybe the way to go then.
Okay. You good?
We're good.
Thank you, Johnny. Sorry to bother you. Put you on short notice. Thank you, sir.
Well, the thing is, I don't wanna get what we got into last time, where we bought radios for our vehicles, and then they come in and, they narrowed the bandwidth because, for whatever reason, and that turned our radios basically useless. I mean, you can get 2 blocks on them maybe right now, and that's if you're down through there. So, but if we're talking about getting on with the police and fire and all that stuff, I'd as soon stay away from that, because I don't want them coming back in and doing the same thing they done last time. That's not what this is. I'm trying to stay out of their business, and they can stay out of mine or whatever, but, well, like I said, with Jared, he's got all that other stuff, and see, with the tower and stuff, it was gonna be around, it's gonna be around 30,000. So, but with Jared, all his stuff that he's gonna be able to do for it, I mean, I think I put it, you know, the package gonna be like 13,000 plus whatever the cost of radios are. So when we're just looking at probably a little over 3,000 just to have for radios for the street department.
And how many will your department need out of this?
I'm just gonna get 10 handhelds,
10
what I'm looking for.
And you're
So I want to pay for my own, of course, and I'm gonna update all my trucks that I have now. And Muskogee Communications is the one that installs all our stuff now. They're going to come in and we'll have to do inventory on our vehicles and see which ones need upgraded and see which ones do not. And then on top of that, I'm probably gonna buy 5 to 6 handhelds. So I can have one for each foreman, so they can have in their office or whatever, or, you know, just for emergency time, mutual aid stuff.
And from what Buddy described to me is that he's gonna get his in on your purchase, is that? And then, or you're paying for him and we're gonna reimburse?
I can do anything, any way you want to. I mean,
Well, I think what we discussed.
you guys are pretty heavy on getting quotes and all that stuff, bids. I sole source it to Muskogee Communications, that's who does all my work, and I can talk to Mr. Shear and say, hey, if I buy this, and then we submit an invoice to you guys, I'll pay for it, then I invoice you for what I pay. If you wanna go that route.
Yeah, that's
then
kinda
that's
how-
up to the mayor, and if the attorney wants to do it, that's fine, but, I mean, last thing I wanna do is take this out of bid, get some other communications company, and then none of my stuff works,
Right.
if that makes sense.
We can legally get by with that, that sounds good to me.
Right, so, I mean, that would be the intent, just,
Well,
And-
ask Chase, see what he says, but yeah, that sounds like a plan there.
yeah,
If it's state pricing,
it's all state pricing anyway, so.
we're good anyway.
Okay, you have any questions?
And then they'll do all the paperwork to get his FCC license for his channel. I've already got a channel, mine will just switch over to this, and of course, like I said, I gotta renew mine, because mine's coming up in June or July, I think is when my 10 years are coming up, so you gotta redo it, you gotta renew it every 10 years. And more times than not, Mr. Jansen can do it next door, but since you're gonna have to get a new one, it's easier to allow Muskogee Communications to fill all that
You
paperwork.
two be able to switch channels, he'd have his channel, you have your channel, but can you all switch and talk to each other?
If we wanted to, like, say
That's what I
something,
mean, if you have a disaster or something, mud.
right, or like, you know, we have a event and they need more handhelds, then I can loan them our handhelds and then they switch into that channel, then you can have more handhelds.
Sound like a plan.
I mean,
Okay.
and vice versa, if we have a storm or whatnot, we just wanted to bring this to your attention to see if, you guys are okay with that. If you are, then I'm gonna run with it,
Okay.
take Muskogee Communications and go on down the road.
Do we need to get council approval to just go in with them, or just do
We
it and
better.
we'll?
How much are we looking at?
What's that?
How much are we looking at spending?
Well, I mean, just for the price of this year, it was 13,000 plus it's a 13,481 plus the radios. So the radios, I think, are $310 a piece. So with 10 of those, y'all should have a.
I mean, when's your next council meeting?
Nobody's giving us anything, so.
Next week?
Yeah, well,
Is it next,
I'm
is it
sorry,
next week?
I didn't realize he said that.
Oh,
I don't.
He's got a
about that.
FEMA
I'm sorry.
account.
okay.
No, it's not next week.
No, that's all
We got
right.
one more, it'll be May, but next week's still end of April. So I think this is what we can do, guys. If you're okay with us doing this, what I would like to do now is get with Muskogee Communications, because we got quotes based on the different types of radios and whatnot, not knowing what we needed. Allow us to get with them, and Buddy needs however many he needs and whatnot, then they can do my inventory. Then we can have one big whole number to bring to the council, and then we can just confer with you guys, get your approval, make sure the attorneys are on board with the way we're going, and then we'll have a firm number. But just to get the work done at their tower right now is $13,481. That includes no radios, that's just to work, and that's to get the license for him, and to renew my license.
And he said, and Johnny said also to let them know as soon as we could, because of getting our own frequency, that there's a certain steps you gotta go through to get that, so it may take several days to do that, but,
When did you say that quote was given?
Well, it was given April 4th. You guys made, first Tuesday of May. What is that? Let me look at
May
my.
the 5th.
We can call
Oh,
them.
6th, I'm sorry.
We can call them, and they'll hold it. They're pretty good, I'm sure. But, you know, it says 30 days, but you know.
For me, it'd be better if you put it together, just like you're talking about, have a full figure, bring it to council, and we'll explain it, and go for it, go.
Right.
Yeah.
I hope.
Yeah. So,
well, right now, the only way I can communicate with my guys is call them on their cell phone. Well, the city don't pay for their phones, and sometimes you can't, if they're like on a tractor or a backhoe, or sometimes they can't hear anything anyway because of the noise. But with this here, I mean, they can turn it up and be able to hear it. And if they need me, they can communicate with me, because sometimes if I'm in the office, cell phone doesn't work in here because that metal building or something, it doesn't even.
and if his boys are like my boys, they're conspiracy theorists. You know, if they use their cell phone once at work, they're not giving it up if we get in a lawsuit.
Yeah.
I'm like, here, take my phone, please. For the love of God, you can have mine.
Yeah.
To keep it as long as you want. I don't need a phone. No.
This sounds like it's gonna help Mub and help us out, so.
Yep.
I mean, we're not, yeah.
It'd be nice to have that resource ready to go.
Okay, so I would like to entertain a motion, something to the effect that we are going to endorse and concur with MUB handling this purchase. And
Bringing the final number to the first board meeting or
Right.
first council meeting on Tuesday, or in May.
So basically just make a motion to say that we will recommend that the council purchase,
purchase them, we're just gonna reimburse them, right?
okay, reimburse the purchase to
How about
MUB.
discussion, possible action?
Discussion and possible action regarding the reimbursement of the, say what?
Our share of the purchase.
Yeah, of the
Yeah.
two-way radio communication purchase,
Yeah.
and out of the FEMA reimbursement account, and jump on board with MUB for the,
Account 5062, 14145 5062. It's not on the actual financials,
okay.
but
Right.
it is on, it just needs to be put on, but that's where.
Do you know how much is it? I mean, I assume we're not gonna burden it, but, you know.
I got 53,000.
Oh, okay, yeah, but,
You make that a motion?
yeah, I'll make it.
Second.
I'll make it.
Catch that? Motion by him, second by Smith.
Okay. Sorry, I just thought it was an amendment. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Smith?
Yes.
Rushiers?
Yes.
Lamar?
Yes, motion carries. Jared, thank you very much for your coming up here and helping us out with that.
You'll let me stay for anything else, I will. If not, I don't want to move on down the road.
Yes, just real quick, do you have any update on the drainage down there on South Elliott Street for the, in conjunction with the engineer on the pipe?
You wanna go to that item and then we can talk about it?
Well, there isn't really any update though, is there?
I don't remember what the last thing we taled about was.
Are you talking about the drainage on the east side of
Yeah.
South Elliott? Yeah, if you wanna go to that line item, then
Yeah, we can,
Okay, yes,
I know
we're gonna,
very little about that.
I can
I'm
give you
talking to the engineer.
well, okay. Let's jump to, item number,
That'd be 6, the South Elliott Drainage Project.
6, the South Elliott Street Drainage Project, real quick.
Okay, did we talk about going from the single pipe to the triple pipe? Have we talked about that? So when I talked to, I'm guessing
No.
that's a no. So when infrastructure went in and they were looking at the channel there, the ditches that are current, you've got a water line that
So
runs.
we've got a, 16-inch water main that runs on the east side of the road. There is also a 6-inch gas main that runs on the east side of the road. I didn't know the size of the pipes, but the last time I talked with Dale, he was like, because I asked him, I was like, you guys don't think I'm gonna have to move this 16-inch and move this 6-inch poly? He goes, no, I think we can fit it in there, but there might be some crossings that cross, like the 10th Street, 11th Street, 12th Street, that branch off, that may need to be lowered. So that's all I know at this
Okay.
point.
So here's the latest. They went in, they want to make sure that all of that's buried, but we got to get the right flow through there. The ditches are not deep enough, meaning there's not going to be enough fill to put on top if we go with a single 24, which is what he was really looking at. So what they looked at were 3, and I don't remember the size, but they were 3 oval-shaped tin whistles. The only problem is they don't make the oval in poly, so they would have to be back to the metal, which is fine. It's just not the preferred. But they would run them down, and the further you got, one of those would towards 12th. I'm sorry, the further north you go, it would go from 3 to 2 to 1 to follow the amount, but that would allow them to cover get the same amount of flow, pack it in. They will all 3 be tied together. And then where we talked about those crosses on 15th, 14th, 13th, they'll be able to tie into those using the appropriate fittings that come with that system. So you're looking at 3 oval-shaped pipes running through there, underground, buried. My question was, will there be a ditch? And he said, not one that you'll notice. So there'll be just enough of a grade in there.
There should be just enough of a ditch because you're still gonna have water coming off the street from the center of the
Correct.
street, and you're still gonna have water coming off of the east side of the west side of those properties. So you still gotta collect that water and take it somewhere, and you don't wanna take it in the street because that's the whole purpose of what you're doing now. So he'll probably have some
So
area
that's
drains in
small,
there to
yeah.
collect that water every so often
Till it gets to those cross points.
to get it out.
That'll take care of having to move utilities in.
Well,
Well, according to Dale, we won't have to move
we
here.
should have to move anything. The only thing that should be moved is if the line's running east and west, not the main lines running north and south. It would be the lines running east and west that branch off of those main lines. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
And right now, Dale is pretty adamant that those won't interfere
Yeah.
at this point, so.
But you also gotta think about it though. I mean, it doesn't take an engineer to realize you have a ditch that's like this. Putting a circular pipe in it, it's gotta be a pretty dang good sized pipe to be able to carry what that ditch was carrying like this, so.
Yep. And then I don't know if you guys noticed, I'm sure you've seen it, Bruce, Terry. Buddy's group went down after the last rain and things subsided there on 15th. Where the tin whistle in there had a section that broke free and it actually closed that off and then it got packed. I went up there on that Saturday, I think. I got down in there, tried to get it cleared out. It was all the way down under the middle of the road. So they've put a temporary, what size did you put in there? 24-inch in there temporarily, and I was at about 1 o'clock Saturday night when that rain was at its heaviest. It was full, but it was flowing really well, so.
You gonna be able to recapture that pipe?
Yeah,
Use it somewhere else?
Yeah, we weld hooks on it, so when we dig it out, we just hook it up, pull it out.
Okay.
But that's the current plan is,
So does he have a time frame then on when they're gonna be done with all their engineering to where we?
they're wrapping it up. This was last week, he said they're wrapping it up now, so they should have it
So
fairly soon.
his report to you verbal over the phone, or is it in a formal written
It
report?
was over the phone it was kind of like an email mesh. He sent me some temporaries. He said he's not prepared for those to be public yet because details might change. But the idea he did share was you could go with the triple pipe concept, oval, not round, but it'll move the same and they use them in other places.
But no time frame on when they're gonna be ready?
Hopefully, I told him we need to get it moving get it to the council by the first one in May, so hopefully it's ready for that.
Okay.
And mine was just about phone call, my conversation. with Dale.
Remind me real quick, how far down is this drainage project going?
We're gonna tie up at 15th. It'll go right up underneath 15th and connect to the schools, concrete,
Okay.
And then we're gonna take that north to 12th.
Okay.
And somewhere there, 12th is where we'll start with 1 and graduate down 2 to 3. So, and he honestly thought that the cost was probably gonna be a little cheaper doing it that way too. So that's kind of the element that he's working on now, is that metal is a lot cheaper than the poly, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank you, gentlemen. Thanks, Jared.
Jared, go have your snow cone. Huh? Go have your snow cone now.
Yes.
Don't know what flavor it's talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna move around one more time here and go to item number 8, which is discuss and possibly recommend council action regarding the South Elliott Street and Southeast 29th Street traffic issue. And this is going to be Mr. Smith's issue or discussion here, and he has County Commissioner Grossman here to talk about that. Welcome to the meeting. So, do we have a motion to discuss and recommend to discuss?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion from Brashears and second by Smith.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay,
You're on.
here's the ongoing problem for years and years. And the Y, I guess you call it the Y, at South Elliott, where it goes back to NIPAC, where it goes straight south, has got traffic problems. Number one, the people, when they're getting off work, have congestion at that area going north. And when you stop at the stop sign, you can't see back to the east coming off Carbide Road, or NIPAC Road.
510.
510, oh yeah, I couldn't remember what number it is. So, why don't you come forward and tell your idea?
Well, I don't.
What we've
have a
talked about.
solution, I have a suggestion.
Sounds good.
It's been brought to my attention that if the stop sign was
Pulled out of the ground on Elliott Street to keep traffic flowing, and a yield sign was put on the curve on 510 coming in onto Elliott, would that be an improvement? It would keep traffic moving on Elliott, and you brought up a point, they'd be coming 50 and 60 mile an hour through there then, we'd have to get them slowed down. If you could get them slowed down and keep traffic moving on Elliott, my question is, would that be an improvement?
I even looked, I asked Mub to check on the signal light, you know, at that intersection south, you know, I'm talking, where she Mays' old house, and knows where that's at, where that intersection is, where you can go back east. $400,000, so that's probably out.
Sure.
And the problem, if you don't have that stop sign where it is right, have a raceway, because there's not one till you get 17th.
Okay.
And the only problem you're gonna have right now, we will have, is when people are getting off work, it's gonna be congested. And it is congested in I-44 in Tulsa, 244, in time during the work time, it's gonna be congested.
You would keep traffic moving.
The best thing for me that I could figure out, and that's just my idea, is to put a stop sign. I don't like yield signs because they don't pay much attention to stop signs, but put a stop sign maybe at that curve coming from the east where the people that's going north can at least see somebody's right here and not have to worry about them broadside and have to turn their truck sideways to see. And that is the only suggestion I'd come up with. But whatever anybody else has got, I'm way open because I don't know. It's been a problem for a long time. It's probably not going to get any better. And Ken Raines is going to develop that land behind me. It's on the west side. So at some point there'll be traffic there. And I don't know how we're going to, it may be a while before that, but anybody got any ideas, spit them out.
They talked about making it turn into a T one time, where that road that runs straight east into Elliott Street and just do away with the curve. The only problem then would just be the driveways and stuff that goes to those houses, you know, about bringing them out onto that street. But I guess I think utilities owns that property there now. I'm not sure, you know, about what if we could use it for anything. But that's what we was.
Back. So, if you look out there in that pie shape piece, we have a cone valve there. It's attached to our 16-inch main that comes from, we got two feeds that feeds the city of Pryor. We got one that comes from those above ground storage tanks that if you go straight down South Elliott, you kind of look back off to the southeasterly, there's a couple big above ground storage tanks at OWA. We got one feed coming there. That cone valve controls that side coming into Pryor. We have another one that goes cross country from their water treatment plant. So there's been some talks about upgrading that cone valve when funds become available. And we could possibly move it out of that pie shape, and then that would open up stuff for more options. I know at one time somebody had mentioned, and I don't know if it was Mr. Powell or Mr. Burke or somebody, but looking at a traffic circle or a roundabout, there goes about as good as a third of punch bowl around this parts, because they just don't know, You go to Branson, it confuses some people. But I mean, the first thing, you can do some T intersections, you can do some stuff, but I mean, I think the big key is getting that cone valve out of that area and moving it maybe further south. I may have to look at purchasing some property off of the grow facilities or whatnot, because my intent would be, the way it's operating now is a bad design. I would never have done that back in the day. I would like to get it elevated and whatnot, but it can be relocated. It's just everything comes at a price. And I know that's a stickler, that big cone valve, but that's a pretty important piece of infrastructure that helps supply the town with water.
Just for clarification, what is that preventing us from doing at that spot right now?
Well, that cone valve sits right off, so what you can do now is every option that you guys talked about right now, it can be done without having to move that. But, I mean, to get it to how you need it operated, what I would do is get with the traffic engineer and say, okay, do some counting, do some traffic counts during the peak flows, which is probably 6:30, shift change, that's the peak flows.
Yeah, and it's not really bad in the morning going south.
Right.
It's the coming home that gets you.
But you could, I know it costs a little money to get a traffic study done, but I mean, they're the experts, we can shoot stuff all day long, but at least if you get an expert in here, it's on them and not on us, just, spitfire.
And if we did any kind of major changes to that intersection, like he's talking about a T or changing the road
configuration,
that's gonna all be dependent, that's gonna interfere with your utility part there, and all that would have to be changed as part of that project.
in the future. But if you did a T intersection right now, that's not, whatever you talked about right now is not a big thing. But if you wanted, if you're gonna put a signal there, sooner or later, you're gonna want 3 lanes, 2 through lanes, and then left turn and, left turn going south and right turn, dedicated right turn going from the south going to the east. So when you start changing the width of the roadway, that's when it's gonna be a conflict with my infrastructure.
Okay.
But
my only thought, Steve and I were talking, kind of agreed that we might try, if the council wants to put a stop sign right there on the coming out east, from the east there in that curve. So that when you pull up, you can see the person next to you. If he stops at that stop sign,
for the most part, that stop sign will allow them to at least, let's say there is a collision, if they at least stopped, it's not going to be near as damaged as there is if they're coming around full bore.
That was my only thought, the cheapest
maybe the
way.
collisions aren't as severe. Nobody wants to get wrecked, but.
Now, here's another odd thing. I've sat out there many times and watched fights and everything else about hitting each other. There's only been one bad wreck I ever remember in 30 years with that setup. I don't know how they got by. It's getting worse as far as in a hurry and trying. So I'm thinking, well, the cheapest thing, if the council wants to, is might try to put a stop sign up there and see if that'll assist them. At least when you're going north, you can see somebody sitting there or not, and you could go on. But that's the only option I got right now.
Am I hearing you correct that your main thing is that you want the traffic flowing? So you were
On
talking
Elliott
about taking
instead
the
of stopping?
stop sign out.
Since Elliott's the dominant road
Yeah.
more so than,
Right.
510, yes, keep them moving,
Yeah, you keep it moving, but like you said, it could be a drag strip if you don't.
yeah.
Yeah, the first
Put
stop
some
sign
sort
would
of
be, or signal light would be.
Traffic calming device. So like on Mabel Clayton, don't fix the road, just keep it rough, and that's, I'm just kidding. But I mean, there's stuff that, that can be done, and you can try whatever. It's just, be sure whenever honestly, if you're gonna do the T intersection, then you might wanna have to put some sort of barricades up. I mean, while you're trying it, you still wanna keep that curve to allow those people to get to their houses, but you may wanna make it just to where one car can get through, not, you know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe some flashing barricades. I don't know. I'm not
I don't
engineering
either.
or I'm just
The
utility
T
man.
would be a good thing, except you're gonna have to stop going south.
What's that? I'm
Yeah, they're
sorry.
gonna gripe about that.
Yes.
See, I'm trying to figure out what do those people that live on the curve, say they're coming from the south. How do they get
Well,
to the driveway?
there's,
That's crazy.
Quick. Lots of
Well, it
lots
looks
quick.
like there's only,
It's actually past the,
Past
I looked
the
at
curve.
it, it's just.
You know what I'm saying?
past,
I'm just
yeah,
trying to
there's,
think of-
there's only one house that technically would have the driveway kind of on the curve, but it's just like right before the split.
If they're at the stop sign going north, they just gotta turn into their.
Yeah, they're,
Double back.
Yeah,
they're right there.
But I think that was just, what you just said, sorry. Just telling Buddy, if we took that 2-lane on the curve that heads out towards NIPAC and took that down to 1 lane and made it, in essence, a left turn lane, the others coming off of NIPAC could come to the 4-way stop at a stop sign. That would allow traffic to flow, but those turning off of Elliott. Otherwise, if you got those people turning east off of Elliott, you're gonna get back up all the way up to probably wherever, if traffic is heavy. But if you just create a turn lane that allows them to keep moving, flip your blinker on and go around, but this, coming from the east to the west, they would have to come to the 4-way stop sign and then turn up. And that would allow traffic to keep flowing. And then for now, we don't have to touch your stuff.
So
We're just bringing that road down to 1 lane in front of that house we were just talking about.
so you got traffic coming from the east going westbound on 510 or 29th Street. It's forcing them to the T intersection.
They would have to go to the T.
And then you're gonna open up the curve to the people going southbound, heading to the east.
Heading out, just like a turn lane.
And
on
then
the
notice
highway.
they may have to stop,
There'd be congestion there at that
they
point.
may have to stop if you got 15 cars
Coming out
coming
to-
here, but you're relieving the industrial park traffic.
And
Or they could move up to the T intersection and use that controlled.
what I think we're gonna get the griping from, and it may be the way to do it, but I think we're gonna get a griping if we put a 4-way up there and everybody's mad. They're gonna be mad going south, mad going north, mad going east.
Yeah, I don't know that that's really,
Well, and the struggle is gonna be, no matter what change you do, there's gonna be that first week or so where somebody's not gonna remember, they're gonna be coming off
Well,
of
and-
shift.
I mean, what you may need to do, and I haven't thought, I'm just thinking out loud because I haven't really thought about it, but you may have to increase your radiuses of your curves because you're gonna have people with trucks and trailers and they may need
widen
a larger radius to be able to make that turn to the right going, if you're heading westbound and you need to, go to the north, that, I know that radius
I
right
hadn't
now,
thought about that.
that radius right now is not very,
No.
To even do what he's talking about, then it's gonna require a major change to that intersection and need to have a traffic engineer come up with a plan on how to do it all.
Well, it's gonna affect his pipeline.
I think if you increase the radiuses and maybe make the intersection, I don't want to say nothing until I actually go out there and lay my eyes on it, but, you could probably increase the radiuses right now, and I'm sure the road going to, the road they're using now is probably wider than the cut through coming. So you may have to add it, maybe reinforce those shoulders a little bit, make it a little wider if that's gonna be your main thoroughfare coming that way. I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud.
That's what we're all doing.
An engineer, get a study, what's that cost?
That study,
To find out if there's a better
I
way.
would say,
What, 10 grand?
First time 10.
yeah, I was thinking less than 15,000.
Well, and this individual you said who wants to develop that area up behind you, would the access to that be that 510 road?
Yep.
So,
There's an intersection right there. I say intersection.
That's the actual section line road?
Yeah.
That road that comes, that's 510, that's section line road, so you got statutory right of way that, you know, actually runs all the way to.
I mean,
Highway.
I know it'd be the most expensive thing, but, I mean, in the future, if that goes forward, the best thing may actually be an actual light. But that's, you know, you just said that's gonna
Yeah,
be
it's
$400,000, but,
And that
I
would,
mean, the county's got money, right?
Now,
Wouldn't it be a lot cheaper just put a light, hanging light up like it?
you can't do it anymore.
well, I mean,
You tried, you checked in?
here's the
It's
deal.
not Radiator Springs, unfortunately.
You're not having to deal with ODOT. Is it county or is it city? Where does that, where do we draw the line?
I think it's that road, you go right south of
That whole
510, that
intersection is
turns to
county.
county.
So you don't really have to deal with ODOT, which is a plus, but you still would need to get a traffic engineer to design it per the MUTCD guidelines to make sure that they're following that in case there is a wreck, and if it wasn't designed,
Yes.
then we're screwed.
Right.
Pardon my
See,
language.
It was designed 10 or 12 years ago, it was already paved and grew up.
And do you still have that, or
I think I give it to you.
Oh, there you go.
Cause we were looking at something, but no, because we was talking about,
who did it, do you remember?
Jimmy Seeds or Sites, whatever it is, one that was with.
I think it was Steve that drew it up. I don't think, because it was Ray Murray we had beforehand, I don't think Ray done it.
No, Ray did the plans for,
Unless you drew it up, because you was
Ray-
on
Ray-
there one time.
no, I don't recall that one. Ray did the plans from 9th to 17th. He drew those, Mr. Murray drew those plans up.
He drew those?
Yeah, I think you're right, I think Steve's group looked at that interchange, and I think, and I hate to say it, I think his was a roundabout idea, because that was, you know, that was the end thing at that time, and they're still the end thing, but they're just hard for people to,
Well,
So Mayor,
five-
can you get a hold of Mr. Burke and have them dig through and find that plan?
There should, like I said, there was set plans that drew up for. 'cause they
and
was
there may have
talking
already been a traffic study there been done, but it depends on how long ago it was, and it may not be
about-
valid,
It's been a while.
you know,
Now, that
so.
510 road, the south side of the middle of it is county, north side is city. I mean, it's split right through the middle.
Yeah, you're getting the same thing, like you're getting on Oakwood Road,
If you headed east on 510, where that pipe crosses the road right there, that's where city limits. That's where on my map shows stops, and then once you go.
yeah, Summerfield's
just past that
outside.
there, that edge of that road is coming east and west, and that's where it's.
The big plan here is to fix it right, is to come up with a new plan to how to redesign that intersection. But, and that's gonna take a while. It's not gonna happen
Yeah, that ain't
overnight,
gonna be
this year, or
overnight.
next year probably.
Yeah.
So, but Mr. Grossman's immediate plan is, or solution to the problem is to take out that stop sign and just let the traffic flow, but I don't know that that's,
Would that be an improvement? That's my question. Would it improve it?
I don't know, Bruce has to sit outside with his,
Yeah, I can't hardly get out driveway now, but
milk
that's
shake.
why I
how
asked you.
how did, well,
Do what?
nothing, I was talking about North LA now.
No.
And
The
like
reason I
you
asked you to
said, you
speak-
can't see back to the, behind you.
Yeah, I've driven
Yeah.
If you're in a van or a pickup
Yeah,
camper.
That's the
You
problem.
can't see.
Yeah, I used to drive a Casey's van, it was a big box van, and I'd either have to pull out and turn right, or I would just turn right on 510 and
Or
then
run the stop
come
sign.
back around.
A lot of them do that too. I mean, but that stop sign thing, that was only just something to help right now. I knew it wasn't gonna be an answer, but the reason I asked this to be put on there so everybody throw out their ideas and come up with something.
Okay.
I don't have a cure. I don't have something to say, yeah, this will work, because I don't know.
If, we would just have, you know, if we did that and then we, made the south or the 510 traffic coming on the curve either stop or go to the T, we would just have to realize that we're probably gonna back traffic up coming down south.
The only
in some
thing I
way.
could see
mean, I
at
don't-
all, what I suggested, anything close to positive, is that if we put a stop sign on that curve, at least the people going north
Yeah.
can see their cars, and they wouldn't have to turn their cars sideways.
Right.
That's not gonna,
Yeah, I mean, that
that's
would-
not gonna solve the problem. It might help it right now, it might
I mean, yeah,
not.
that might actually help. I mean,
Well,
because
we
it's not
could-
gonna change the southbound folks.
I
So if we
mean-
put it up, we need to buy one of them,
Reflector that flashes.
Yeah.
Stop ahead or
And you may
whatever.
wanna add, like you said, so many feet to the east, add another stop sign ahead with that same flasher on it, so.
Right. Slow
Yeah.
it down.
because
I
once we
mean-
change it, because I mean, it's.
Oh, I know.
But that's your cheapest option right there, is to add the stop sign, flashing stop sign and the flashing warning or stop sign ahead, I mean.
Well, even if we kept the stop sign there, on the Elliott side, we just put a stop sign on the curve coming north as well.
Well, that's what I'm saying, leaving, if you could, I don't know.
Versus
that
ripping them up, I mean, I
that
think
would
either
help the
one of those
people
will
north.
help the traffic come up, I mean, you know, someone's not stopping, then taking extra time to look back over their shoulder, but, I mean,
Well, am I getting the impression from you all then that you do not want to remove the stop sign going northbound?
I would probably
My
start-
recommendation, I wouldn't do nothing, I wouldn't remove it until you had the engineer look
Yeah,
at it,
right.
because
yeah,
you're gonna take a whole, I mean,
we're gonna do that.
somebody
and then-
dies, somebody wrecks, we just open up a can of worms that we don't wanna open.
Right.
And I
Step
don't-
one would be to see what Dale's got. See
That'd
what
be
Dale
it.
has. He might have something, look at it, and then get his recommendation on a study. That way we're not just
Or at least you get a price on
throwing
study,
darts
you
at the
know.
wall right now.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
if we did-
satisfied something to be done, but talk about lots of money doing it. Now, I don't know if we wanna jump off in that or not.
Yeah, well, my personal opinion and would be the plan for the long term, it would be eventually, if that's gonna be developed, put a whole, you know, stoplight system there anyway, but for now, you know, either get the study, and I mean, we could still put the stop sign in on the curve anyway. And
If it
stop
would help,
ahead, either
that'd be
one of
fine.
those.
I don't wanna get
would
into the
be-
North Elliott deal, up and down, back and forth, up and down. You know,
Well,
if it would help, fine. If not, leave it alone.
There, we go roundabout, we put your little pump right now.
oh, good
You
night.
just put a above ground cone valve,
Something to look at.
or, you know,
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Sir.
maybe
At least we got the discussion going on it, Steve.
We got it started, didn't we?
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
be a lot cheaper if we get the county, city, and Cherokee Nation involved. Don't remember that, don't leave yet.
See y'all.
Okay,
Thank
thank you, Steve. So, do we want to take any action to get the count to, what do we want to do? Get the,
Do we wanna just,
get with Burks?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't take any action on it, I'd just say let's maybe go get with Dale and they just start from there and then.
Okay.
Yeah, that's,
see if he's got something they've already, like you said, already done?
Well, I know there were a set of plans from 10th Street, to,
You know, I remember
I
that.
believe it goes up, went all the way to the Y because they was gonna 4-lane it.
That's right, they were.
Center
It was
turn lane on
It's gonna cost a ton of money, but I remember seeing that now that you said that.
it. Well, cause see, I
It would
remember,
have been a lot cheaper way back then.
Because they bought I think they've got the easement already bought for that 4-lane thing, I
well, see,
believe.
cause we put, our part was close to like $2 million. The state was gonna come in and do it. Well, the state, then they decided to come in and do it, but it took several years before they was able to get to it. Well, then that price went up, and then our former mayor decided that we wouldn't do it because it cost too much money, or it would already been done. So I know there's something drawn up.
Well, the only immediate thing I can think of is a stop sign. I'm not dead set on it, but that's the only thing I could think it would help anything right now.
Okay, so there's nothing really to do on this other
Nope.
than get, the engineer to work their magic, and Mayor, you'll get with him about that?
Just in it.
Okay, cool.
is there anyone here for the North Whitaker?
No.
Okay, so,
But, I mean, the only thing you can really do down there, what it is, we got children that play signs. I don't know if it'd make them happy, but I mean, if y'all wanted to buy those speed bumps, like they got over at Salina, they're 2.5 inch tall. Put a couple of them down close to the middle or something. I mean,
Boy, I hate to start the speed bumps. We're
Well-
buying them by the truckload.
well, these are the,
but that'd be the only, I mean, it's not, I mean, yeah, you can feel go across them. They've got them up when we went to Branson here a while back, they had them up on the highway, and they had like 6 or 7 of them all lined up, you know? But I mean, you hit them at 55, 60 mile an hour, I mean, you're gonna feel them, but it's not a detour. But again, I don't know what to do with that, but I mean, if they wanna do it, I mean, I don't want to see any kids getting run over.
Well, now, hold on a minute. Did you skip to?
well, no, I just
We're,
asked,
we're talking, we were still,
yeah, we were about to move on, I
Yeah.
was just asking,
Are
do we
you-
need to bring that up?
We're on
or-
7 right now.
let's, okay.
Sorry.
You mentioned that, he started in on that, I didn't know where he was going at that. So anyway, item number 7 is discuss and possibly recommend council action regarding North Whitaker Street safety traffic
Motion.
issue. There are 3 families that have brought this to my attention, and they were supposed to be in here last month. I emailed them and sent them the agenda this time, and they told me that they were sick and not gonna be able to make it. So there's nobody here to talk about that right now, but they're really concerned that North Whitaker between 3rd and 5th, little kids play out in the street. It's a little 1-lane street, kind of, short, and they're basically pleading for something to be done about
I would say extra
some
patrol.
little speed bumps.
Request extra patrol from the police, and that may take care of the problem.
Chairman, may I come up? So, that area, and I'm respectfully not gonna throw any addresses out, because I don't wanna pinpoint, but this week in municipal court, we addressed that area, specifically the 2nd and North Whitaker. If you get to, and I don't know who exactly has been communicating with you, but I think you're gonna find that a lot of that is perceived to be allegedly related to some kind of drug activity or something, the houses that speeding is coming from. I'm not saying it is, I'm not saying it isn't, but that's perceived by the neighborhood. Is that good
That's
assumption?
never been mentioned.
Okay, well,
Just talking
it has
about
been
kids
on the
and
other side of things, but I think what
speed
we're looking
bumps.
at, what I'm getting at is, we're putting a dumpster out there. We're trying to get that cleaned up. We're trying to get those areas. I think what we're gonna see, hopefully, knock on wood, is that as the city is visually putting attention to that intersection, the judges were ordered to get those cleaned up. Action was taken yesterday in court to get the ball moving on that, get those homes cleaned up, get those properties cleaned up, get that whole area focused on. We've talked, in the past that's the high traffic with the speeding, people running stop signs. The hope is, and this is just optimistic hope, is that we get that cleaned up, people in that area start seeing the heavy traffic presence from the city, law enforcement, etc. Maybe that will slow some of that speeding down. Start getting that area cleaned up. I just want you guys to be aware that there is a direct attention given to that 2nd and North Whitaker right now, specifically, also a little bit to the south and a little bit to the north. So for all that's worth, I just want to add.
That may take care of it.
Well, what we found in all of the years that I did abatements is that you start on one and the neighbors will clean up. And then eventually that street in general improves, whether it's speeding, trash, loitering, whatever it is. Once you start giving that attention to that area, the rest of the neighborhood comes out and says, hey, enough already. Or the trash will take itself out, so to say. It'll eliminate itself. So I don't know that changes anything you guys want to discuss, but I just want you to be aware of that action being taken by the city as of yesterday.
Was there a specific time frame during the day, or was it just kind of random that they would say that it would happen?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's all day, Kenneth. It's hit or miss. It's just as they're coming and going.
Okay, so I'm gonna request that we take no action on this, and if and when they decide to show up for a meeting, then we'll address it. If that's okay with you all.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Okay, moving, let's go to, item number 9. Discuss and possibly recommend council action regarding the Taylor property easement for the drainage project. I'm assuming this is really just an update on where we're at with obtaining the easements.
Yeah, the mayor was gonna talk to somebody, Chase maybe, or?
Yeah, I sent it to Chase. He requested he actually has now the name, because it wasn't necessarily it's the Macaulay, I think is the
Yeah.
other one in there, and then the other. So we've given him the land descriptions, a map now of the easement that we need, whether we go in from the south or we go in through that Macaulay. So Chase has got that. He's gonna write up a letter, basically. He did say if it's in city limits, we don't need permission for the easement if we're going into clean. But respectfully, we wanna make sure that they're aware that we're on that property and in there. And so I concur 100%. We could strong arm our way in there, but I don't think that's gonna get us.
That's in the county though.
Well, if you look at the city maps that come up online, it does actually show that that's right on the line. And part of that cleanup is right there at the end of Oklahoma, whatever,
Yeah.
south of Bowling's house. That is city limits. So if
I-
we're going back there, I just think it's proper that we get the request from the property owner to get in there. So Chase has got all the descriptions, all that.
If he will get it drawn up, I think the owner's gonna be here maybe in a couple of weeks. And I
Well, if
can
you
get it-
find
get
that they're-
him to sign it, we'll be through with it.
Yeah, I think the biggest concern Chase had was locating them. So we've
I'm
got
fine.
their
They're gonna
address
be
that
here.
comes up online, but it's not a local address, so.
No, like I said, if he gets it drawn up like they want, it's a temporary easement, I can get him to sign it, we'll be through.
Yep, I'll let them know they're gonna come. If you find a date that they're gonna be here specific, I'll have it in my hand.
Okay.
Thank you very much. This has been going on for about 2 years now, and I'm glad to see that we're getting something done on it. So, then, you have any other questions about that, Counselor
Nope.
Smith? Okay. Okay, update regarding Highway 20, First Street overlay.
Was out there today and talked to Michael, and they said there was a few guys that showed up this morning, but they didn't have enough people to run the crew. And then, I guess they come back and decided and told him that they decided that it was too wet, and they went back south. So, well, they actually, they've got a couple of, base repairs done out there, but other than that, that's about all that they've accomplished out there.
And a little bit they had to redo because this last rainstorm upended.
The little foreman was out there early this morning running on their front loader, and then they got the heck out of Dodge.
Yep.
Anything you want to add to that? Okay.
Well,
No,
with,
they're being babysat every time. We're out there 100 times a day.
is there any communication on, since, the next few days, we're gonna have chances of rain, and I assume that, is there any communication on like when they're supposed to be back out to continue on, or?
Well, Michael, he calls them every day. He's got everything written down, and even some of the things he even told me that he wrote down in his opinion. So,
We're on them like flies on the stink. It's just where that stink is at is.
Yeah,
It's very frustrating.
yes.
The whole,
yeah, because between now and June,
Okay.
who knows how many days out of the week it's gonna rain, so.
I'd probably say, buddy, if you talk to Michael or I talk to whoever gets there first, they need to stand their signs back, their traffic control signs back up.
Yep, all that wind blew it all over, and
So,
they're all scattered.
Is there, they have some on Keel Road, I'm sorry, I just gotta mention, they have some of their signs on Keel Road that keep ending up in the ditch and clogging the ditch, okay. So I just wanted to mention that, cause I drive by it every day.
okay, item number 11, discuss and possibly recommend council action regarding the purchase of an explosion detection safety for the fuel tank at the street department complex.
Okay, I went out for quotes, and I got 2 back. One of them, if y'all wanna look at them, I can give y'all copies. I got one back from 2J's Electric, for $6,500. And then with Bostic Electric, we got one, $2,475.
And that's installed?
That's installed. So actually, the
Big
20,
difference.
yeah, actually, the 2475 is actually under, but I want to bring it to y'all's attention, because this one, they done that audit here a while back, that was one of the things they told us that we had to have. And the money that I do have it put back in 5411, the money is in there. I think I put they told me it's gonna be around 4,000 or 5,000 or whatever, and so I think I put 5,000 back for it, so it's actually, there's be extra money in there, but,
And with those 2 bids, how much was the cheaper one?
2475
And what was the other one?
was 6,500.
Is it something different?
Are they
No, it's
comparing
a-
apples with apples?
Well, pretty well, because when I went over with Jack Bostic out through there, he told me everything that he had to have for it. This is from material and labor to run power from existing south wall receptacle power underground to the fuel tanks. Will supply conduit, wire, seal, all conduit, hook up the fuel for explosion-proof fittings as per code. So that's what they're both is per code that we had to have on there. One maybe went a little bit more into depth for, but it's all basically the same. But, you know, they was talking about that, and I said, well, there should be a code, because well, like utilities, when everybody started going to that other company, they had to have those tanks put, or they had to have them put in. And,
Okay, were these actual, did we advertise for bids on this, or is this just a?
no, these are
price quote you got?
just quotes that we had. I mean, I guess you could call them a bid, but I mean, I went out with 3 people and I got 2 back. So, but I mean, and actually the one for 2475, actually, really don't even have to go to council for that, because the mayor can sign it for 2,500. So it's actually under the price of,
Who was the first bidder?
2J's Electric, and the other one was Bostic Electric.
Is there a particular reason why we didn't go out for publish those for bids?
Well, I mean, you could call them a
There
bid.
is a big difference there.
I mean, I told him, I said, I'd like, my words was I need to bid for the price of putting this, explosion-proof, electrical in. And this is what I got back. So, I mean, I went out for 3 and I got 2 back.
Looks like your brain's thinking there.
Well, if it's below 25, you wouldn't have to bid it anyway, but then you've got the other guy bid so much more. I don't understand what the difference in the bids are.
I don't know, I mean,
When did you get these back?
one was April 11th, one was April 15th.
When I have family that has used Jack Bostic before, and I mean, there's nothing that would give me any concern.
Me neither.
Well, he's the one that done he's done most of our, when we've gone out for quotes or bids or whatever comes back. I mean, he's the one that's done most of that new, building we got out there, salt and sand building, he done electrical work on that, and the lights and everything, so.
I'll say the requirement for bids, that's a cost issue, isn't it? Or is it a?
Keep in mind, and this is just kind of, as we go into that, the way Buddy did this, I remember you got this one from Bostic, April 11th, and I remember you shot me an email and you're like, hey, what do you think? And I was like, hey, you gotta have it, let's do it. 25, that's what I have. But he went out and he got this other one back on April 15th. When we get these projects, something like this, and he goes out and says, hey, I need to know how much it is, and he gets these, this is just gonna tell him whether or not it's gonna be under that 25,000 umbrella where we gotta seek the bids, the sealed bids, all of those. If he went with this one from Bostic, this is a moot point. We can just get it handled and done.
Yeah,
I think it's appropriate that he let you know that we got this other one from 2J's, who also does fabulous work. They've done a lot for the city, but respectfully, that's where we're at. And because of that difference, he doesn't need to go out and advertise for bids for a part to fix his fuel tank.
yeah. Well, and
If
it
it were
being
much higher, then we would go for those sealed bids. This is appropriate here, so.
yeah, and I mean, there's no ethical or workmanship concern. I mean, with either of them, but I mean, and this one would get us our safety device up to code as quick as possible, and we would just have to sign it as a
Again,
purchase.
both are tremendously great electricians for the Pryor area, both are local. You know, their price is their price, and sometimes it's quoted for multiple people.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's quoted for singles, so, I think it would be appropriate if we did that and call it a day.
And we wouldn't need
We're not paving a road, we're just,
council approval for that, would we?
Nope.
Under 2,500, we would just have to sign it as a purchase order.
if you guys do a no action on this, we go with the 2,400 and it's completely off the table.
Sounds good to me. Both of them are good people, so.
Both are good.
Yeah, I mean, And there's a code, I mean, if everything's up to code and safe the way it's supposed to be, there's no
Yeah,
concern.
well, as like I said, I explained both of them, told them I didn't have the schematics or whatever that showed everything it's supposed to be in, but I said, I need what they call explosion proof, and I told them if we need to, we can go over to utilities, they can see what it is, and both of them already said they know what it is.
Okay,
And,
Make a motion, no action.
and I'll second that.
Okay.
Rushiers?
Yes.
Lamar?
No.
Smith?
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, item number 12, discuss possibly recommend council action to go out for bids on mowing the right-of-way for the, city right-of-ways. So, do we have a motion to go out and seek bids on the right-of-way mowing?
I make a motion, we go out to seek bids, and the bids would be open to whatever council meeting, be opening council meeting, whenever they're due back.
Well, probably the second council meeting in May.
Yeah, you'll need the council approval. You're recommending to the council to send it out for bids. That's what you're doing. I want to make sure, again, point of information, there needs to be some modifications to what we're seeking, not just what we've done. And it pertains to this spraying and or trimming. I think in the past it said spray or trim. We need it to be spray and, but also, let me think about this. The Monday Forum group, are you guys familiar with that group? Has on Highway 20, not old Highway 20, new Highway 20. This is one of those areas where Mr. Fott has been mowing for us for a while. The center median from Gaither to Carbide Road will be removed from that area that they mow. There have been state-issued native grasslands planted there that cannot be mowed in that median. Don't look at me like that, I had nothing to do with it.
Well, now, it won't go,
But-
it stops before that first, what do you call that?
Is it at that first cut through?
That's that first cut through.
Point is, we need to make sure that they understand that that is no longer part of the process, so you're cutting at least an hour out of the mowing, but
Okay, then, do you have it in writing then, like specifically like we do on the street plans or the alley plans? Map that shows this or the areas?
oh, we can put together a map,
that we mow.
really, a map with,
That way it's clear
yeah, we can
to
do that.
everybody. And then since we've annexed new properties in, does this need to be expanded to other
To the
areas?
south, yep, probably will be,
To which way?
probably on the south side of town. There might be some, we have to look at that and see.
Well,
So,
it's not changed on the south side, right? It goes from
well, they're in front of the
Ninth
district.
Street all the way south to Carter to 69A.
But we have that small section. I want to make sure that we're not omitting by accident anything in front of the district that would be ours. So I understand PSO owns that right away, has that right away, and I hope I'm not wrong. Gerald, come running right back up here. But south of 69A is not us clearly, but I want to make sure we don't have anything between where Big Bellies is and the district that we would be responsible for. Right now, most of that is bailed by private contractors that bail it. I just
That's why I think it needs to be on some sort of color
100%.
map to show them exactly what that entails.
We can do that. We can draw out a map.
Who does the mowing on Old Airport Road?
Old Airport Road. I don't think.
Don't we have the city limits going to the city limits up there,
Yeah,
going
but I
back to
don't
the
think-
east?
We don't mow that up there.
Okay.
That's all private. All that's privately mowed. Ours are mainly the 69 corridor, 20 corridor, and
Old 20 corridor,
yeah.
Old 20 corridor.
Some of that is, yeah. Now, keep in mind, a lot of that there in front of the fairgrounds has been purchased and is not something we'll be mowing anymore. It's got driveways and culverts and likely not anything we're gonna be mowing. So I think it would be time to sit down and readjust what we need to mow, and
Okay.
so.
Need to redesign everything, I guess.
Okay, so do we have a motion to recommend the council action to go out for bids on mowing the right of way?
With new information.
Yeah, with the spraying and trimming, not either or.
And trimming, and the new layout, new corridors, make sure that's updated.
Because there is signs out there that show where it's at. They finally put them up, so it shows exactly. I even took one, because he's still got 3 mowings left this year. So I took him out there and showed him what not to mow, so. We can make some-
Okay, so when do we want these,
We can have them ready by.
back by?
Well, you're gonna recommend to council to go out for bid.
Yes.
For May 6th.
We'll have it ready by council meeting. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you talking about 4 bids or just having something drawn up?
We'll have something drawn up, and
Okay.
then council can.
Yeah, because you'll need the specs for the people when they start going to
You know, just
ask
have,
for.
just have to get the wording that they have up here and change that and, you know, if we can do an aerial map or something.
Yeah, we'll do it there on that.
Okay, so entertain a motion to recommend the council to do that.
Yeah, for, it's mowing, spraying, and trimming
With updated,
with the
Maps.
updated, maps.
Rushiers, and then motion second by Mr. Smith.
Lamar,
Yes.
Smith,
yes.
Rushiers.
Yes.
Okay, let's see here, a couple more things.
You still need a Buddy Glenn's report?
Yes, thank you for that. Now, buddy, you're on for your report. But please don't report on anything we've already discussed, because we've already talked about that.
Well, we've been out, again, with everything, with all the rain stuff, we've seen some problem areas. We've gone out South Taylor, dipping ditches there on Edith Street, Southeast Second, in Kauai, Bryan Street, Archer Street. We went out here the other day, we had 3 or 4 days of good weather. We went out and mowed, all the drainages that we could, weeded and sprayed them all down. Southeast 7th, Southeast 1st and Elliott, there by Goldie's out front. 8th and Van, that the drainage that goes back behind there. And then back, we had drainage we cleaned out back behind Chris Cornutt's house. There's some trees that fell down in there. We went back there and cleaned them out. We sprayed sidewalks here the other day. We didn't get all the way downtown because it started raining. But we did spray some of the other drainages. There's not as much mowing out there off of Ridgeview and Fairland. They're off of 14th Street. There goes back behind the high school. A couple asphalt patches we done Southeast 15th when we put that pipe in. We went back and asphalted over that one, and another one over on Bryan Street, and we dipped a ditch over there. Today we went over off of South Van Street between 9th and 10th. There were some dead trees over there that was overhanging kind of the street and the sidewalk, and the lady was worried about they was going, in which I figured that we get high winds it would, so we just went and cut them all down today. It's not that we go through and cut trees out of people's yards. This was kind of a safety idea, or safety factor on that. Then we went over by Jefferson School. There was a crosswalk that was put back in there several years ago that really shouldn't have been put in, but because it didn't have the proper signage, and the SRO officer over there was worried that a lot of the kids was trying to use both of the crosswalks, and they have one main one that we put in for them with signs and everything. So we went over today and ground that off so it'd no longer be usable. And besides just other stuff, you notice that we've had some tires that we've had to go and purchase for some of our trailers. Again, we get out there at the brush dump, you get people, again, dumping stuff out there, burning it, and you get, so a lot of our tires we've just finally had to give up on. We've put so many patches on them and tubes that we went to a 14 or 16 ply tire that we're putting on them now, so they're gonna be a little bit more expensive, but other than that, that's about all we've been doing.
Okay, thank you, and thank you very much for dipping out that corner there at Second and Kauai, because I noticed that the other day that it tremendously helps now with the flow of that water to the east.
Oh, and that manhole there on Kauai, I think we're just gonna be able to, I got with Jimmy Martin, I don't think that manhole is used for anything. Cause we pulled the lid off of it and pulled that down, and it was just full of dirt. And Jimmy didn't have anything, and it said sanitary sewer. So, but I mean, if it is something that they need to, we're gonna salt and dig it out and asphalt over it, just to get rid of that part, but we do, I mean, we still have the measurements where we can find if something is used for something, but it'll be fixed, so that's
Okay,
just
thank you.
getting to it.
Okay, and then, moving on down to the last thing is item number 13, discussion regarding street and drainage improvements for fiscal year 25-26. We've had this on the agenda every time here just to remind you all, and there's not really anything to talk about tonight other than to just keep reminding all the counselors to come up with a list to give to put together so we can work on the major street and drainage projects for next year. We're gonna take areas all over town and fix it instead of big major projects. There's a lot of areas in town that the roads are falling apart, they need utility, or they need to cut out, new sections put in and everything, so that's what we're gonna work on. Each counselor is gonna get together with a list and combine that together to submit to Buddy and for the 25-26 plan. So just keep figuring that out.
Yeah, no, I've personally taken the north side of my ward, and Lori's taken the south side.
Okay.
And so we'll have a list, at least a list of our ward. But we're talking also drainage improvements, and this is something that is more or less has always been an issue, but especially recently with more rain that we get. On Keel Road, you probably already are well aware of the drainage issues. We just have a lot of water, and it moves a lot of water. This last big storm that came through, about a quarter of my driveway just about went down. So I've been out there the last 2 days putting up a concrete, barrier around my culvert pipe to help hold it all in. But I also walked up the road a bit, and the next 5 houses, almost every time it rains really big, it just washes everything down. If you look at the ditches on that road on the city side, it's almost lined with its own gravel from everybody's driveway. Is there anything that can be done in the short term?
Well, I mean, if you want to push the issue, anything inside city limits with the city's supposed to be dust-free. There's really no gravel allowed.
Okay.
They're supposed to either be asphalt or concrete. But I mean, that would be up to the homeowner. We supply the pipe and the gravel is put on it.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just like the police department, when they was down at the old building down there, they was forced to go in and asphalt that one because it wasn't dust-free.
Right.
But I mean, they're not,
Well, it's not necessarily trying to put not trying to put too much on the homeowners. It's just any recommendations as what could be done on our side.
Are you wanting the ditches dipped out? Is that what you want?
Well, no, the ditches have already been dug out.
Oh,
I mean, they're wide, except on the
Ditches
county.
are already done.
Yeah, the county side is, there is no ditch on the county side. Unless the drainage, when it goes there and crosses under first, Old 20, I don't know, I mean, that gets into another, private property drainage area as far as clearing it and widening it out to help, because the newest house on that road, they have I think a 15-inch culvert that's concreted. It overflows the entire, it just completely overflows their driveway.
And see, the bad part about it is, you can't really go with much bigger pipe because then every one of them driveways will have a hump in it.
Yeah.
And then you get complaints because it's not smooth going over that. Well, when we put those in according to where it comes down to First Street down through there, I would say it was probably 10 inches of fall from where the city easement starts back, Parsons. I think somewhere right in through there, all the way down, I think there's like 10 inches of fall.
Yeah.
So that's the largest we can put in to take the water. The only thing you can do, I guess you could make it wider for it to take it in, but then again, it's gonna have to go back. But then the homeowner's gonna have to buy all the extra pipe if they wanna go,
Yeah.
make it wider.
Well, and you'll have a massive line of trees that'll have to be cleared
Yeah.
out if you're gonna widen that out anyway. But is there anything that would easing up the flow on the south side of 20, would that help at all, or do you have any ideas? Because no matter if it was asphalt, gravel, no matter what it is, it's gonna overflow.
Yeah, it's gonna overflow.
And
I mean, we can look, see if it, I mean, going back out to that pasture where it goes across the road.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, that goes back into private property, but I mean,
Yeah.
that could be a major problem right there. 'Cause
Of course,
if
yeah.
If everything's built up, well, that water won't go through. I mean, then that's your backup part right there that's not letting everything go.
But I mean, aside from every individual putting up some kind of concrete barrier to hold up their driveways, and, because I know if one collapses, then we're gonna back up that whole road
The
anyway.
big thing to remember is Pryor is in a gully. The whole area is a gully. It wasn't engineered to hold water, it was engineered to move water.
Yeah.
You know, we spent all this money on North Elliott. I went out Saturday night, I told you it was 1 in the morning when that rain was at its hardest. And the news channels were exhausted. And there was 4 to 6 inches of water the whole way down, minus the peak of the road.
Mhm.
But our drainage projects were moving, the ditches were full. South Elliott, same thing, water was moving, it is what it is. And the only thing we can say is, it's been unprecedented rain.
Oh, yeah.
Everything is going to fill and wash, and that's just the nature of being in a flat area with.
No, I agree. It's just, I'm just asking because my neighbors are spending a lot of money repairing their driveways, and then they're washing out again.
I mean,
So.
unless, you know, let's say pass an ordinance or whatever, but I mean, I think again, that's opened up to something else.
Well, that's not what I
We put
was.
a pipe in to.
No, that's not what I was getting to. I was just curious if there's anything that could be done for the area at all that would, because I mean, no matter what, it's going to overflow
Yeah,
at
I
this
mean-
point. So.
Not that I know of, I mean, it's just, I mean, I know there's probably a lot of water coming from the east side over to the west side of the road, because again, there's no ditch over through there, so all that water builds up, runs across the road over to the west side.
Yeah.
So that's just adding more to that, so which that's not helping us.
Yeah. Well, I'm good.
Okay, does anybody else have anything? Okay, except I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
He wanted to hit that part.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Brashear, second by Smith.
We've got 8 minutes.
All those in favor, or,
Smith,
Yes.
Rushiers,
Yes.
Lamar.
It's on
Yes.
church. You can't just do that.
Oh, yeah, I think that's like that thing to run 50 miles an hour.